good morning, everybody. It is Chattin with CHAP, and I am your host, Ginger Wade. And today we are going to talk about record keeping, or what do I do with all this stuff? So we're coming up on the end of the school year. Maybe you're done. Our co-op is done. We had a few things to take care of, so we are wrapping things up this week and moving on into the summertime groove. So it's the end of the school year. No matter where you are, whether you're not quite done yet or not, we're kind of wrapping stuff up and getting ready to move into the next year. You have worked so hard. You're working on getting that evaluation done, and you've celebrated, had a bowl of ice cream or a whole dinner or however it is that you celebrate. And now what? Now what do you do? The school year is all wrapped up. It's all taken care of. The paperwork is handed in. Now what do? You might be walking through your house going, ugh, what is all this stuff that is everywhere? What am I supposed to do with all this stuff? You've got books, you've got papers, you've got projects. You have stubs of crayon and markers and posters and, projects. I don't know, dioramas. I don't know what you have laying around, but there's no doubt there's stuff everywhere. And if you're like me and you have a wood stove, you have a layer of dust and ash on top of everything, on top of it all sitting everywhere. So what do we do with it? What do we do with all these things that we have created and made throughout our school year? Well, let's talk about it. The first thing is, if you have a second story on your garage, you could keep all of it. Or a nice big storage room in your basement. But that might not be an option for everyone. It certainly isn't for me. With 7 people still living in my home, there's a lot of people and just a lot of things with the people. So we need to be careful what it is that we keep. So let's talk through some of this. So here are some tips. I know we love books. I know it is the homeschooler's desire to have a whole library full of books in your house. But if you used some books this year that without a doubt, you are never going to use again, whether it's because you don't like it, the kids didn't like it, or you finished that subject and no one wants to, read it again. If you know you have books that you do not want to use again, get them out of your house. Don't keep them just for the sake of keeping them. I started doing this. My youngest now is going into 4th grade, and I started selling off I had sunlight cores and stuff like that, cores in my house. And I was like, wow, it was kind of sad. I kept the stuff that I really, really, truly loved and people wanted to read again. But everything else I didn't need, I got it out of there and opened some new bookshelf space, which was amazing because it gave me some amazing space that I didn't realize I had. So yes, give away those books. You can sell those books at sales. You can donate them. But get them out of your house. If you don't going to use those books again, get them out of your house. Another thing is to consider recycling, throwing away, or burning papers that don't make it into the portfolio. So now we don't need a portfolio like this. You really only need a portfolio like this. But I know you probably do maybe you don't. Some people probably do about this many worksheets or papers of some kind. So you've pulled out the ones that you want, beginning, middle, end of the year for the portfolio, right? And then you have the stack. Don't keep the stack. No one's going to look through the stack. They might look through a portfolio later, but no one is going to look through all of the math papers, all the little science worksheets, all the little grammar sheets, all the spelling lists. No one's going to look through those things. Now, in the case of my kids, we use those notebooks that are bound for spelling lists, and if it's not full, then you might want to keep it and fill it up next year, and then after school year you can get rid of it. If you have a full spelling notebook, toss it, because no one's going to look back and think about what lists they spelled well and what they didn't, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a student too that had a particularly rough time with a subject and you don't need all those papers, Give them the option, like if you have a bonfire pit, give them the option of like tossing the papers in the pit. They might actually find that very stress relieving and uplifting. Just to be like, oh, that was a hard year. I didn't enjoy that. That's the papers I don't need. I'm chucking them. We're burning them. Yay. So that could be a fun little thing as long as you fire safety, right? You can include your fire safety training in with that activity. But that might be a fun thing for your students. Projects. Oh, don't we do projects? We made a universe this year. It is so helplessly tangled, like all these different galaxies in a universe, and it's thread. It's a mess. And then globe, and if you make dioramas or posters or pop-up things or whatever it is that you've done, and you've poured hours into these projects, and you'd love to remember that you've done them, but you don't necessarily want to keep them because there's nowhere to keep all of them. Take pictures of them, and make a photo book. I make a photo book for every year for us, all the trips that we've done and the science experiments and the things that we've made. And I put them into that year's, it's like a yearbook for my family. And we look through those pictures and remember all the fun things that we've done. So that way, if you don't have that second story garage to store all of your projects and hang all the things up, that is a way that you can remember them, but not keep the actual physical projects. And it's okay not to keep every project. And it's also okay to keep some that were particularly special, or you have a student who painted something or made something or crafted something that is particularly well done or memorable for some reason. Absolutely keep it, but don't feel like you have to keep all of them. Like the Twisted Up universe, once our evaluator sees it, it's going. It's gone. It'll be funny to joke with her about it, but whatever. So it's okay not to keep all the projects. So let's go into important paperwork then. So we're talking affidavits, objectives. Let's start there. Affidavits or unsworn declarations and objectives. Do you have to keep all those every year? Once you hand it in, of course, it's good to keep a copy at home for yourself to verify that you did file to homeschool that particular year. My feeling is that going into the next school year, you can probably pitch the old ones. Now, for me, I have a notebook. It's about this thick, and I just keep throwing them in there. And I have them since I started. And once I'm done, I will eventually chuck all that stuff, but I just keep throwing them in there. But I don't think you need to keep those in perpetuity. You can probably just throw them out when you hand the next one in for the next year. But you can just keep them in a little notebook, and when you're totally done, then get rid of them. So evaluation letters is the next thing. So we get our evaluations done, and then we make copies. Always make copies of anything you're going to hand into the school district. So you hand in your evaluation to the school district. You have your evaluation letter here at home. That I would keep. I would definitely keep that for sure. So I actually put all those things together in the same notebook for myself, an affidavit with all the kids, and then individual things for all the kids' evaluation letters. So I do keep all of those in a notebook. If your evaluator gives you encouraging notes, like my evaluator actually writes little notes to each of the kids, which I think is really sweet. So we keep those, and I keep those in with the evaluation letter. So that's really nice. So I think it's good to keep those things. The evaluation is kind of like the stamp, of approval or whatever for the school district for the fact that you complied to the law. And so that's handy to keep with your things. It's good to keep. Transcripts, when you get into senior high and you're starting to create transcripts for your students, always keep a transcript. Always, always, always keep copies of the transcript from year to year. We keep, a running soft copy that we keep adding on to, but if you print it or you need it for dual enrollment purposes or whatever, always keep a copy of the transcript. You could even use it for cheap car insurance. Car insurance places will take transcripts and then lower the car rate of your student if you have a good student, like a good student award kind of thing. So it's always keep those transcripts. And of course, when your child graduates, if you give them a diploma, you want to keep that diploma in a safe place, always. So HSLDA does recommend that you always keep the high school evals. Now, high school is 9th through 12th. I know secondary is 7th through 12th, but the high school evaluations, which would be 9th through 12th, always keep those, like forever and ever, amen. and the transcripts and the diploma. So you're always going to want to keep those particular things for all of your children. Now, when your children move out and they are like, not like, I'm moving here and I'm moving here and I'm going to college and I'm doing that, keep all their paperwork for them there. But when they are settled in their own home, give all those things to them. This is your responsibility now. Here you go. It's your transcripts. It's your diploma. It's your evaluation letters. Just keep that in a nice little packet wherever it is that you want to store it. But you obviously can, of course, give those to your children when they are out on their own, in their own family and stuff like that. It's just wise to keep it. And here's why. Your child, or you as an adult, when you grow up and you were homeschooled and you have that paperwork, you might decide later in life that you want to go back to school for something, or your employer wants you to send you to school for something, but the school would like to see a transcript of some kind. Rarely do they ask for a diploma, but sometimes they do. So you do want to have that. Definitely a transcript. Evaluation letters are just good to have in case you have someone who's going to be picky and want to get into the whole homeschool thing. But that stuff's kind of fading away, but I would still keep the evaluation letters. If you are applying for a particular type of job and that job wants to see a transcript. So it's not even that you're going to school. Sometimes jobs want to see transcripts or diplomas. So you always want to have that transcript. Make a transcript. Keep it on your computer. Keep a hard copy. Keep both, because computers crash and you can have a backup and your backup might crash and it's all this craziness, but definitely have like copies of it in different places, because you never know when you're going to need to go back to that. And keep it in a safe place. Like my niece, she moved around all over the place, and at one point she needed her diploma and no idea where it is. No idea, because she had moved multiple times, didn't know which box it was in, and didn't keep track of it. My brother had given it to her. It was hers. So if your child is in a spot in life where they're moving a lot, it's probably best to keep it at home until they are settled and then give it to them so that paperwork doesn't get lost. So just a side thought on those types of things. So what about portfolios? You spend this time gathering information and you put your portfolio together, and it might be like a scrapbook, or it might be just this skinny little binder with some stuff chucked in it. What do you do with the portfolios? Well, I personally have a tub, a good sized tub for each of my kids, and each year I put the portfolios in there, and I have 2 that have graduated, and the one that's not in school and he's working full-time now, we went through and pretty much chucked everything except fun stories and papers and keepsakes. And I haven't gone through that yet for my second one, but I do keep all the portfolios for a number of years, and then once they graduate, once they graduate, I'll go through it and kind of leaf through things. And because kids always, they either write something or create something that you're like, oh, like, I don't want to get rid of that. That's a really good memory, or that's a really good story, or whatever. So my thought is keep the portfolios around until they graduate. And then it could even be a remembery day, right? A memory day where you sit down together or as a family and you go through, oh, look, you've graduated. Let's look at the stuff you've done. And then, like if every single portfolio is like a scrapbook, back in the day, they did used to be like that. Obviously, you might want to keep all of them if you've got that room over your garage. If not, go through and pick out those things that are particularly like, oh, I remember when they did that. That was great. Or this was a good testament to what was going on in their life at that time, or whatever. So I think it's really smart. And I know some of us like to purge and some of us like to clean, and this is ridiculous that I have all this stuff in my house. I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm not sentimental. I don't care. But I'm going to throw the but in there. Maybe you want to wait. Because you might find later that you're like, no, I do want to keep this story. This is something I like, or I want to create a little mini book of all the years instead of a whole bunch of portfolios from all the years. So just think about that. It is fun to compile some memories of the work that they have done, but you don't need to keep all of it forever and ever. Amen. So once the evaluations are done, really the portfolios aren't necessary because the evaluation's written. And the reason you create a portfolio is to get an evaluation and get that stamp of, yes, I've complied to the law. The portfolio then at that point is really just for you to keep memories if you want them. So there you have it. You don't have to keep them forever and ever. So the next thing I want to share is just, it might be good to have your children involved in the cleaning out thing. So as you're working through things, and I know when they're young, they want to keep everything, which is why I'm saying you might want to wait until they're older to decide what you keep and what you toss, because neither of you might feel like, well, you might not want to keep anything and they might want to keep everything, right? Because children just like to hold on to everything, the Sunday school paper and the, VBS craft. They keep everything. But as they're older and you're going through things, it is fun to make it an everybody kind of a discussion. What do you want to keep? What is a happy memory for you? Is there anything that you want me to make sure that I keep put aside for you? And then, I'll give it to you when you are out and about on your own. And they might really enjoy that. So keep your kids involved. And then as far as cleaning goes, I know we've got papers everywhere. So once you have figured out what you need for your portfolio and what you can get rid of, and then, you know what I do? We do spring cleaning. And I've had multiple kids say to me, Mom, when is spring cleaning? Like they can't wait to get into it because there's just stuff everywhere. It's the time to ditch the broken crayons, get rid of the pencils that are this big, sharpen the other ones, get rid of the pens that don't work, dust everything, clean the windows really good, scrub the floor, get the cobwebs out of the ceiling. So what we do is we go through the house together, one room at a time. When we only do one room a day. So it's not like, oh my word, it's all day, I'm going to die. So it's a few, I usually take the morning, we're going to pick a room of the day and we're going to give it the deep clean, right? We're going to pull stuff out and sweep behind it and get rid of things. And we really don't need this paper airplane or that paper airplane or that, piece of tape that's been stuck to the side of the table for 3 months. So we get into the details and we wipe and clean and scrub and sweep and trash. So much trash leaves the house during spring cleaning. And not only that, this is good for a number of things. You get a clean house and they get a feeling of accomplishment because they've helped you with it. They've gained life skills and creating a good habit in the spring of cleaning the home and getting it freshened up, opening the windows, getting the fresh air in, freshening up the whole home. And like everybody benefits. And my kids, do they complain? Yeah, sure. Like many times we don't feel like getting into it. But once it's done, well, last year I remember cleaning one particular room and we were all like, oh, took a lot of work. And we sat down at the end and my one daughter said, oh, this feels so good. Because you look around and you're like, wow, it's just clean and neat as a pin and fresh, and it's so good. And you've done it as a team, which is wonderful. So this time of year can be a wonderful experience to work together as a team, to build some good life skills, and to enjoy the cleanliness of the home that God has blessed you with. Okay, so that's a really good way to look at it too. So here at the end of the year, that's all I have to say about things you might want to keep. If anyone else has any suggestions, please comment below. I would love to hear if you have any suggestions on how to store things or neat ways like to create, like I use Snapfish to create books, or if you have some other things that software or whatever that you use to keep memories and stuff. I'd love to hear about it. And since we are in May, I wanted to just remind you, make sure you're talking to your evaluator. If you haven't already, set your date for evaluation. If you haven't done it already, make sure you get your testing done. And don't forget, end of June 30th, that paperwork is due, that evaluation letter is due in to the school district. So make sure that you're all prepared. So if you have not gotten an evaluator yet, there is no time to lose. No time to lose at this point. And you can go to chaponline.com, resources tab, and look up an evaluator if you do not have one. So if you need help and guidance in any of the stuff I've talked about or any law things that are coming up, please go check out YouTube, CHAP Homeschool Pennsylvania on YouTube. And there we have many, many videos. There is a playlist for the law And there's some other playlists, practical tips, biblical worldview, parenting, interviews, different kinds of things like that to help you on your homeschool journey and give you some ideas for the coming year. So the resources are out there for you. They are readily available, and I hope they are helpful to you. So that is all I have to share with you about wrapping things up and what on earth to do with all the stuff that is in your house here at the end of the year. I do encourage you, if you have not signed up for registration, to consider it. Check it out, June 13th through the 15th, conv.chaponline.com. It is a great place to be encouraged and to be equipped to endure through this wonderful journey of homeschooling that we have, that grows us and changes us and stretches us. I will be speaking there 5 times, so hopefully I will be able to connect with you guys and chat with you, and we will be at the chat booth ready to mentor anyone who has questions too. So coming out, we'd love to see you. Thanks for listening, and give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, give us a review on Spotify, and I will be back next week with an interview with Mariah Sam, who is a formal homeschool student who has turned author and homeschooling parent. So it is a great discussion with her about the process that she went through to become an author, and it could be very helpful for you with your children. So have a great Tuesday. Enjoy the weather as you and your children learn to follow Christ in all of life together. And I will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.